Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Chicago. Here we are on Michigan Avenue. The sun was out. We got about 72 degrees here. There's the Hazel Johnson mural there. Chris Devins did the King Von mural. Excuse me. Mr. Super A there from the Netherlands did that. So I got to get my mural list correct there. Here's the Nando's, the Nutella. And hey, there's no line to the Nutella today, so here's your chance. You put your name on the jar there. There, they're taking pictures. Chris, how you doing there? Krista, how you doing? Yeah, thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, Michigan Avenue at Lake Street. We haven't been to the Bean since Saturday, so I know it's only Tuesday. We were there with the House Music Festival. There, get your crumble cookies, your fat tires there. Stephanie, how you doing there? Yeah, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not too bad. Look at that. Look at those clouds. Look at those amazing clouds. Cotton balls of clouds there in the air. Blue skies, puffy clouds. 70 degrees. The sun's going to come out. So I'm just going to tootle through Millennium Park. We'll see if the symphony's practicing or anything. If not, we'll just head through the loop. Rainbow cones coming. Cinnabon, Antiana. So that's new. They've added those signs. They're still not open. The whole summer's gone by. The whole summer we've seen those signs coming soon. It's not coming soon enough, but I think they had union issues. There was a strike there. People were picketing the use of non-union labor here. So here, we'll cross Randolph Street at Michigan here. Yeah, they're selling the souvenirs here. There comes the sun. Yeah, the cultural center. So this is called Chicago, Illinois. You ever heard of it? We got New York City, we got LA, and we got Chicago. 3 largest cities in the United States in order there. We might be surpassed by Houston, but it's not yet. So, or even Dallas, Fort Worth. But here comes the horns. I have no idea what's going on there. People they couldn't figure out the light. The light was green that whole time. And they just sat there for like the whole cycle of the light. But that's okay. Sometimes it's hard to tell. There, Michigan Avenue. We'll head to Millennium Park. We'll check out the Bean really quickly. I know we've checked it out thousands, millions of times. But I never tire of it. I work near here, so it's really easy for me to just take off at lunch like here. This is my lunch break from work. I work for an architecture and engineering firm here on Michigan Avenue. And I can just easily come through here, see what's shaking. We can see the changing of the seasons. Check out these clouds. Look at that. Newbert. Jonathan Julbert there. I said it wrong. Kelly, how you doing there? Yeah. Chicago needs more restaurants. Yeah, we need a lot more stuff. We've lost a lot of restaurants. We've lost a lot of restaurants since the pandemic. I don't just blame, the economy or the crime. I also blame Jeff Bezos, Uber Eats, people cooking from home like me, inflation. It's less money to eat out, unless you're part of the uber wealthy, yeah, we need a lot of stuff. Thanks for tuning in there. Hey, you could open a restaurant. You could fill the economic need there. You can be an entrepreneur there, open a restaurant there in Chicago. Wish you luck. What's this sphere? This is not here. This was not here on Saturday when we were here for the House Music Festival. So let's see what this is. See, just like this. How many times have we come here? We have never seen this little sphere. And I wonder if they're going to paint it or something. Let's see what this is. It's a Doppler effect, Doppler radar. What is that? So they got a sphere here. This is in Millennium Park. It aligns with Washington Street. Does anybody know what this is? Margie, how you doing there? Yeah. Yeah, even Central Illinois lost restaurants and stores here. It's a nationwide thing. Some areas are doing better than others. That's the way it always is. But hey, the Cloud Gate will live up to its name today. This is another reason to come by. Sometimes we see it with the blue sky. Now we see it with these clouds. Let's see what the Cloud Gate, Anish Kapoor's masterpiece here looks like with the clouds. And it's an inverted mirror, kind of like an MC Escher mirror sculpture here in Chicago. And hey, let's check it out here. Yeah, the Great Bean of Chicago. Stephanie, England, how you doing there? Hayden. Yeah, it's the Orb. Cleet. Fitzgerald, how you doing there? Kelly, thanks for watching from Central Illinois there. It's good. So, yeah, here's the bean. Look at those clouds. See, every day the bean looks a little different depending on the weather, the amount of people here. See people taking pictures, selfies. Yeah, thanks for loving the bean there. Thanks, Hayden. A lot of people love the bean. See, people always show up here, take pictures of it all times of the year. It's always, you know, somebody this morning was like, screw the bean, you know, and it's just like, they're probably like a rival sports team. They just, anything in Chicago, they'll, you know, I understand that. Different strokes for different folks. But we love the bean. We love that it's here. We love that people show up here and take pictures here. Yeah. So I'm so tired of the flick the bean meme. I think, you know, you must love it there. I know people think there's like a man trapped in the bean. I think that is ludicrous, but it shows you people believe what they want to believe. You give somebody a conspiracy theory. I had somebody on one of my other videos, I just show, you know, I reposted that video of the underground streets on Michigan Avenue, and they started bringing up the Tartarian conspiracy theories, and I was like, you know, you can believe in your conspiracy theories. I don't believe in the Tartarian thing. And then they kept going on, and I said, okay, where do I get the tinfoil for my hat? And they're like, how dare you question my theory? And I'm like, okay, you know, you can believe what you want to believe, you know. You know, flick the bean is stupid from my perspective, but I think you must think it's hilarious there. Yeah, flick the bean, screw the bean. Flick the flick. We'll put you inside the bean there. Hey, so here, let's keep going here. Let's go through the loop of Chicago. And yeah, there's somebody put it in the comments there, flick the bean. You know, it could be like a sexual reference, and it could be just a, you know, for the man trapped in the bean. There's a conspiracy theory. I think people in cognitive psychology, they want to show how easy it was to create a fake conspiracy theory. When Lollapalooza was going on, there was a bunch of people protesting here, and they did it as a publicity stunt to say there was a man trapped in the bean. I chose not to repost the video. You could see it since we did it on YouTube. The Lollapalooza video at the beginning, you can watch it there. I chose not to cut out a video because I'm not going to spread a stupid conspiracy theory. I don't want to answer incessant questions about it. But here, we'll head right back to, I don't think anything's going on at the band shell here, so we'll head past the Willoughby Tower. Look at this detail. Look at the top of the Willoughby Tower here. This is on Michigan Avenue at Madison. So we'll head right through the heart of the loop here. We'll end up at the Riverwalk. We'll skip the Crown Fountain there. We've seen the Crown Fountain many times. What's the purpose behind anything? What's the purpose behind the Washington Monument? Why do we have a bunch of neoclassical buildings in Washington, D.C.? Yeah, so we're in Chicago here. This land was different when I moved here in 1999. There was some little narrow parks here. They would put some sculptures and stuff that were associated with the Art Institute. The Art Institute's down there. This was like a parking lot and a rail yard. The rail yard's still, I mean, the rail trough is still there. It's covered up by Millennium Park. At the end, near the end, towards the end of Mayor Daley II's administration, of course, the economic boom of the 90s, and he wanted to create a legacy, and there was a lot of plans to do something with this land at the northwest corner of the Grant Park. And so in the middle to late 90s, a plan was developed to do the Millennium Park. By 2004, they had competitions with a bunch of artists to design the crown fountain, the bean, some of the other sculptures we see there. Anish Kapoor won the contest, and that was his concept. And it was supposed to reflect the skyline and the people of Chicago with the clouds, Cloud Gate, and it was a sculpture. And it's proven pretty popular. It's become one of the symbols of the city of Chicago. It replaced the Picasso. The Picasso sculpture at Daley Plaza was the same thing. They commissioned world-renowned artists when they created Daley Plaza in the 1960s. It was an urban renewal project to help out that time. The loop was in decline. It was trying to keep government and offices in the loop from fleeing to the suburbs. And so they commissioned Pablo Picasso, who never even came to Chicago. And we might see it here if we had. Hey, look, that's what's underneath the divvy. They're redoing the divvy docks there. There's all the bikes. So there's Madison and Garland here. We're going past Raising Cane's there. Hey, you get your Raising Cane's. Oh, go ahead. There you go to Cantina, Paisanos. There's the Chicago Alley. But if you just tuned in, we're in Chicago. We're just going to tootle through the loop here. We got about 72 degrees. It's a really pleasant day. And so we're just going to cross from one side of the loop to the other. And we'll end up at the river. And then we'll come back to Riverwalk. And thanks for tuning into YouTube here. So, yeah, here's the Link bus station here. It'll get you over to Ogilvy and Union Station. Hey, Christy, how you doing there? Banana. Yeah. So what do people think? You know, do you like New York style pizza or Chicago style pizza? I like variety. Sometimes I like Chicago style. Sometimes I like the New York. You know, variety's the spice of life there. Here's Wabash Jewelers Row. You can look up to the Trump Tower. We'll go underneath this is the loop of Chicago, the elevated train tracks, the loop around Chicago. This is Wabash Avenue looking north here. We'll get the train going by, pulling into the Washington and Wabash station here. There it is. See, it's pulling in right there. You can't see it because of the Calatrava-like station there. So here, let's head over to State Street. We'll go past Carson Prairie Scott. Here, I'll cross the street so we can show you the amazing detail of this architecture on the Sullivan Center, which used to be Carson Prairie Scott. Now it's called the Gothic Target. And these are commercial buildings here. And this one right here, the 23 East Madison. Look at that amazing detail there. And I think is there a plaque? Where's the plaque at? There was a plaque on this building. But here's the Sullivan Center, Louis Sullivan's classic ornamentation. It even goes in the alley here. See his cast iron, wrought iron ornamentation. And look all the way up to the cornices up there. This is at Madison and State. Used to be Carson Prairie Scott, now it's the Gothic Target, which it's only the first 2 levels. Used to be more floors. The upper floors they use now for offices, and we'll show you as long as someone doesn't start. Usually someone always starts talking to me when I'm here because I always try to film his initials, and usually when I do it, someone comes up and starts to like talk to me no matter when I'm here. But here it is, you can see it. Here's the amazing cast iron, wrought iron ornamentation of the old Carson Prairie Scott. You see right there, LHS, Louis H. Sullivan. That was his middle initial. It looks like a 4, but look at this amazing detailed work here. And if you go inside here, you go inside here, you can see the inside. Oops. See, this is the Gothic Target, and they still got the columns inside here. We won't go through here, but you can see the top of the columns there. And and on the inside here, look at that amazing detail. Louis Sullivan This was like 1900 something, and Selfridge briefly owned it, but he sold it. He only owned it for like a week. He like flipped it. But here, we'll cross the street here. We'll head over to, yeah, this is a vintage skyscraper here in Chicago. The Chicago building. And there's the Reliance building. And some of the first steel frame constructed, or steel frame structures. And this is steel frame too. See how it has the Chicago style windows, those big wide windows? This was Carson Prairie Scott, and there's the Gothic Target. That's what we were just looking at there. This is State Street. You can look all the way up to the Chicago Theater. Thanks everybody for tuning in here. We'll total through the loop of Chicago here. Yeah, let's cross over so I can show you this beautiful building here. Hey, State Street, that great street, State and Madison. This used to be the busiest intersection in Chicago. There's the famous photo that was kind of staged there where everything was all congested with the horse-drawn trolleys and things like that. In the old days, I'm falling down the sidewalk because I'm zooming up here. Watch where I'm walking. Bonsoir, how you doing there, my man? Very lucky guy there, yeah. Ferris Bueller's parking garage. Oh, that's the, at 172 Madison. Is it west or east? It must be west. Yeah, ugly architecture. Sounds like you got bad taste. Well, ugly people see ugly things. So, hey, thanks for tuning in here. Welcome to Chicago. That's just my opinion. I'm sure you're beautiful. You would design something better than Louis Sullivan, I'm sure. So you probably make more money than Louis Sullivan did because he died pretty much penniless. There's the Chase building here. See, you can't please anybody. You can't please everybody all the time, so why try? St. Louis, how you doing there? Yeah. West, thanks. Okay. So let's see. West, let's see what that is. Let's see if we can find that. 172 Madison. So hey, let's see if we can find that. Very lucky guy. Since I'm walking this way, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, we'll try to find 172 West Madison. See if we can find. I know what you're talking about. Where yeah, they remember? Yeah, he had to park the car, and the valets, they took it out for a joyride, and they had the Star Wars music, and they popped across the street there. Yeah. So here we go. So this is Dearborn Street. Daily Plaza's up that way, the Goodman Theater. Here we're heading this way. We're going to try to find. So remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off? They used Dearborn Street for the parade. I think it was the German parade that they did Shake It a Baby, and the people were dancing on that Chase Plaza, the sunken plaza with the Marc Chagall there. And it was right here where they did the Ferris Bueller's. See Dearborn Plaza or Dearborn stations down that way. They used to have more parades in the loop, but the last one I saw was the Columbus Day Parade. They actually used State Street, which was kind of a throwback because usually they have stuff in Grant Park now on Columbus Drive. But hey, welcome to Chicago. We're on Madison Street here. We're going by the Chase building, bank building. This is a tall building too. It's almost hidden by all the other tall buildings. What is this? 70 West Madison. So we're 70 West Madison. We're looking for 170, that parking garage there that very lucky guy pointed out there. Thanks, Taco. After LaSalle. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for helping me out there. I need all the help I can get. Sometimes I miss stuff. Like I could have completely missed that comment. Like, you know, I miss comments. They fly by so quickly here, which is a good problem. Means people are tuning in. But yeah, the birthplace of the skyscraper, Frank Lloyd Wright and Louis Sullivan. Thanks, Nuchu. Thanks for the, yeah, William LeBaron Jenney was the first. William LeBaron Jenney, is that right? Jennings. Also Halliburton Roche, Halliburton Root, Burnham and Root. Some of the first vintage skyscrapers were all. And Louis Sullivan was a part of that as well, that same generation. Frank Lloyd Wright was a little younger. He was actually a apprentice to Louis Sullivan, but again, came out of that same initial Chicago School of Architecture. And here we'll go by St. Peter's in the loop here. So we're almost to LaSalle Street here. We just crossed Clark Street. There's St. Peter's in the Loop. Look behind me. Okay. I'll 105. So here, this is looking back towards where we came from. So this is looking back towards State Street. There's that building. Look at those clouds. And see the beautiful buildings along LaSalle Street. You got that nice view to the Board of Trade. I don't take kindly to people doing directions like go right, go left, look behind, because it makes me feel like a horse. I know that's not your intention. After doing this for 2.5 years, you can imagine how many requests I get to go here, go there, and I usually just ignore it because there's no way I can accommodate everybody's request. It's just physically impossible. But here's St. Peter's in the Loop there. And look at these buildings here on Madison and LaSalle. See how they got that? Look at that in the middle of the block there. And they got these Art Deco gems here on LaSalle Street. A little setback. So here we'll cross LaSalle Street. We'll get you this classic view to the Board of Trade. If you've seen the Batman movies or the Untouchables or Public Enemies or Road to Perdition, all these movies use this. This is the Board of Trade, the original commodities exchange there. And looking down LaSalle Street, the historic financial heart of Chicago. So hey, let's start looking for 172. Let's see if this parking garage is still here. Is it that one? Is it over by? Let's see what address we got here. So I'm looking for an address and I don't see one. There's the pink line. There's the pink line. Yeah, if you like this content, please hit the thumbs up, and it helps more people see this content. 181 Madison. So very lucky guy. I think the parking, is it this, unless it's this parking garage, maybe, yeah, 172. Here it is. So here, let's cross the street here really quickly. Here comes, here it is, very lucky guy, 172. Here's the parking garage, so let's go in here. They look like they updated it a little bit, but this looks a little familiar here, so let's check it out. Yeah, does that look familiar? It kind of looks like in the movie where in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they, there's the office there. I don't want to, yeah, I think in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they probably painted it. They used that area there. And let's go around the other side here. This guy in the where you pay, he's looking at me like, what am I doing filming in here? But here, let's head around to the other side. We'll show it from Wells Street here. But hey, welcome to Chicago. We're here at LaSalle and Wells here. And we'll head around. Here it is. This is it. This is it. Does this look like it? Does this look like, very lucky guy, does this look like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the parking garage that they used? I'll have to go back and refresh my memory. I remember the scene where he drops off the car and the guy kind of wipes it down and said, oh, we'll take good care of your car. And then the next scene, they're jumping it, flying through the air. Hey, Christopher, how you doing there? Michael, yeah, Precious. Yeah, follow me on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. Follow Christopher Dotson on YouTube as well. And a prolific live streamer from New York City there. So here we'll, or the New York City area there. There we're underneath Wells Street. This is Wells Street. There's the Sedgwick bus. Look at this sculpture here. They got it behind glass. This is the 200 West Madison building in Chicago. But hey, thanks, very lucky guy. We just checked out the parking garage from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We just saw two famous movie locations from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the parade scene on Dearborn and the parking garage. So many great scenes in Chicago. They show the old Board of Trade trading floor, the stock exchange, when they had the open outcry. That's all gone now. The pits. Yeah. Warren, Texas. That's asking a lot. I do go to Texas, usually in the wintertime. Usually we go to the Houston area. I don't know where Warren, Texas is off the top of my head, but I've been to Lukenbach, Texas. It's in the hill country. It's near Fredericksburg. Lukenbach, Texas. What was that? Hank Williams? No, it was Waylon Jennings, right? Waylon Jennings sang that with I know he was associated with Willie Nelson with the Outlaws there. Texas Outlaw. We get some John Allen Coe. There's the Sears Tower. Let's check out the Sears Tower here. We'll get this nice view of the Sears Tower. We're on Franklin Street. Is this Franklin Street? Yeah, Franklin Street, south of Madison here. Loop of Chicago. Jeff Walker. Yeah. Waylon and Willie and me. Yeah. Yeah. John Allen Coe, is that his name? Waylon and Willie and me. That's a great song. I heard the burritos out. Something in the coast are bigger. He was talking about something other size burritos. And Dylan would write poetry, but my thoughts turned to Texas and Willie and Waylon and me. And do the Texas two-step there. Here, look at the. There's the Sears Tower. I'm calling it the Sears. I know you can call it the Willis. What are you talking about, Willis? But old people like me will always call it the Sears here in Chicago. That's the name of the company that built it. You see the full height, 1,400 feet tall. 110 stories, the observation deck. The observation deck's on the 103rd there. Here's LS Taco. We'll cross the street here. We'll head right over to the river here. There it is, Sears Tower. Yeah, they you got the tacos ready to go there. Taco Tuesday. Happy Taco Tuesday. So here we'll cross. We're at Monroe and Franklin here, Loop of Chicago. Here we got the light. So hey, looking south, looking north, you can look all the way up to the Merchandise Mart. We'll head over to Wacker Drive. Yeah, Chicago, countryside music, yeah. Country and Western. It's like the Blues Brothers, they go out to that joint way out in the country. And they said they had to play behind a chicken wire, and they said, what kind of music you play? She goes, both kinds, country and Western. Wiener Wednesday, yeah, have a hot dog Wednesday there. A new Frankfurter. So look at that, see that curve? There's a parking garage up in there, and the cars actually drive around the top of that lobby. You enter there, you circle around, and there's actually parking up there in this building here on Wacker and Monroe. And this building, see, all these buildings have really interesting lobbies. They kind of cantilever their lobbies. Here's the Mercantile Exchange, the largest futures market. At least there's a futures market still in Chicago. We're not as big a financial center as New York City, but we still are probably the second most important financial center, just because of the Mercantile Exchange, the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And it was because of the Board of Trade, but the Board of Trade has less significance now since everything's electronic. But here's Wacker Drive. People ask me, how do you access Wacker Drive? This is one of the ways you access at Wacker Drive from a vehicle in the center of Wacker Drive. You can come and you catch that entrance ramp. There's some exit ramps. And there's the Sears Tower there. See the CME, they got these Zen stones here. Very good feng shui, but a lot of curvy glass here. So here we'll head over by the river here. We'll see if we see any river boats there. Yeah, thanks Mara, appreciate it. Asian sensation. You like Detroit, you like cars? Yeah, Detroit Motor City there, go to Motown. If you like cars, go to LA. You can sit in some traffic there. You can sit on the 405. One time I was on the 405 in LA, and there was a limo, and they had a hot tub in the back, and there were people in the limo, and we all were stuck in a traffic jam. And so for an hour there, I was next to a limo with people in the hot tub, and they were in the hot tub the entire time, in the traffic jam, in a limo, in LA, on the 405. So that's how you live in LA. Spent a lot of time in cars. There's the Chicago River. There's the Chicago River looking north here. Yeah, let's check out this plaza. I don't usually go on this plaza here. I didn't realize there's a plaza here behind the CME. Here comes the bike. I don't know why they don't use the street. There, yeah, we're underneath the CME here. Yeah, the Blues Brothers. You know the 405, the Ryan knows what I'm talking about. Isn't that great? I bet you love it, right? See how you can look down? See, there's the Amtrak. The Amtrak's below. This is how you can clearly see how all these buildings on the west side of the South Branch of the Chicago River, all the way down to there, Union Station, all that. There's a lot of the train, some of them go all the way through, some of them stop and go north and south. There's a train yard underneath this. These are all built on the air rights of that railroad yard, and including the Riverside Plaza, which used to be the Chicago Daily News newspaper building. There's the water taxi. That's where the water taxi docks at Ogilvy. You could transfer to the Ogilvy station, take the water taxi over to Michigan Avenue or down to Chinatown. This is under the Merc, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. There's people up there. There's people down here. They got restaurants. You can sit right by the river here. Watch the river boats go by. It's great. And there you can clearly see what I call the tuning fork building. You see how narrow it is at the bottom? You see how that little bit there, that little bit right there holds up this entire building, because again, it's built on air rights. They want to use the smallest footprint as possible to not impact. And there's the Ogilvy entrance there. It's called the Accenture Tower now. It used to be called the City Corp. And here the Lyric Opera Bridge, Madison Street. There's Riverside Plaza, beautiful Art Deco plaza. We'll head over there. We'll head up to the Riverwalk. Thanks for tuning in here, Chicago, Illinois. Chicago River South Branch, Loop of Chicago. We're at Madison Street here in the river. Civic Opera House. Who's in Citizen Kane. Yeah, Ferris's dad. Yeah, the Curve building. 333 there. Thanks. We'll go by that building. Thanks for pointing that out there. So here, let's cross the street here. Yeah, the Civic Opera House here. Here. Lyric Opera Bridge. Richard M. Daley, 1994. So that was the second Mayor Daley. The first mayor was Richard J. Daley. Hey, look at that. They're filming there. Here comes the pleasure crafts. They got some surfboards there. Look at that. There's the water taxi. But hey, this wonderful Art Deco Riverside Plaza here. Looking south, west, north. Yeah, I'm not, I'll show you the Trump Tower. I'm not going to go inside. I also want to deal with the security. You know, they'll be on camera there. They'll put my face in a database. It's already in a database. See, people are like, show your face, show your face. People get so indignant. Show your face, show your face. I demand it. Show your face. You must show your face. Here, Riverside Plaza. North Riverside Plaza. Look at this Art Deco here. So you can get to Ogilvy train station by going through here. We do that sometime. We got 1230 here. Riverside Plaza used to be the Chicago Daily News. So of course the Chicago Daily News competed with the Tribune. And here's the Civic Opera building. Eventually Chicago Daily News got bought out. We see some ghost signs every once in a while. Certain neighborhoods. But this all built on air rights in the late 1920s. This was built in the late 1920s. Shows you the scale of the buildings, and it took a long time to fill in the rest. Look at the detail. Let's check out this building, the Civic Opera building. Here's the water taxi. So the water taxi's pulling out here. Remember, we've taken this over here. We might do it again when it's sailboats. It's heading up towards the Wrigley building. But here's the Civic Opera. building in Chicago. Let's look at the detail here. So look at that beautiful balcony, Civic Opera building. And it goes straight down to the water. They got the thespian mast there. You can see all the masts there along the top. And they still have opera here. Lyric Opera Chicago. And then at the top, look at that amazing detail at the top there. Look at those clouds. But even this building here, let's just show, you know, two vintage Art Deco buildings that we cannot afford to build anymore that face each other on one side, either side of the river here. Look at this. It's like a throne. You got this nice plaza. You got to watch. There's a step. There's a little step right here that almost gets me every time. So here, let's head over to the Riverwalk here. Johannesburg, South Africa. Yeah. Thanks for. Where's everybody tuning in from? Thanks for tuning in from all over the world here. This is great. Appreciate it. We're in Chicago. We're on YouTube here. So I'll be doing more live streaming on YouTube in September, but I'm going to take a little break there to visit my father. And we'll try to do the bike the drive. I'll still be in Chicago for up until Labor Day. My aunt's coming into town, one of my aunts, and hopefully we can check that out. Look, it says drama comedy. I wonder why they put that. I guess it compliments the Civic Opera over there. So here, let's see if we get the light here. Is the Boeing building. There's still a Boeing building. It used to be SBC Ameritech. That was one of the Bueller brothers warehouses. We talk about that. Here comes some traffic here, so we'll wait to the traffic. Here, let's check out the river while we're waiting to cross here. Oops, go ahead. So here's the Chicago River. There's one of those little electric boats you can rent. Look at the nice bridge house here. So later this fall, they'll lift these bridges. They'll let the sailboats back in. We usually try to cover that. And you see how that's the head house for the Ogilvy station there, where the metro trains pull in there, and we go over there sometimes. Here we'll cross over. We're heading up towards the Riverwalk here. Yeah, this is the Lunch Bunch Live. Thanks for tuning in. You found it. Thanks for watching the Lunch Bunch Live here on YouTube. If you're from TikTok, I'm Brian Really Chicago here. Yeah, let's head down here. We don't usually go down here. You can go right down to the river. You have to go down and come back up. This doesn't connect to the other Riverwalk. Hopefully someday it will. But we'll head down here. And it's called the Landing between Randolph and Washington on the South Branch of the Chicago River. There's the big AT&T building. No, I said that wrong. Bank of America. This is Bank of America. AT&T building's behind me. This is Bank of America building here. They got the Bazaar Meat. But look, they got some trees down here. You can just veg out by the river. And Cape Town's tuning in there. That's great. That music. Yeah. That's good. Royals and Sox tonight, 6:40. That's great. Tennessee's tuning in. That's great. Brownsville, Texas. That's great. Yeah. Spokane, Washington. That's great. Mississippi, Nicholson. Yeah. Fort Myers Beach. Suburbs. Conroe, Texas. I know where Conroe is. That's close to, yeah, Houston there. I'm missing a bunch of people saying where they're from. Poland. How you doing there? The old firefighter downtown station. Yeah, so as you can imagine, I've been streaming almost daily for 2.5 years. So yes, we go by many fire stations. If you watch, eventually I show the fire. There's a fire station on Columbus in Lakeshore East. We show fire stations on Orleans. There's a fire station going towards the South Loop at the bottom of Wells. We'll get by those eventually. Fortunately, I'm going to head to the Riverwalk. I already planned to go to the Riverwalk, so I don't think but if we pass any fire boats or fire trucks, I'm like a little kid. I follow the fire trucks or the trains or the ambulances or the police sirens as they travel down the street. But I don't chase the ambulances. There you can see the tip of the Sears Tower. Just looking south, we came from that area. This is the loop of Chicago. We got 72 degrees. It's a beautiful cool day here. So we'll head around here. I always miss the light here, so we'll see if there's any cars coming in. Yeah, let's make a dash here. We can make it across. So here we're crossing Randolph Street. We'll go by the 150 North Riverside. I call it the Tuning Fork Building. And we'll head over to the Riverwalk here. Yeah, each building has a unique story. Thanks for everybody has their own connection to these buildings if people worked in them. Here's the green line. This is the green line heading across the Chicago River here at Lake Street, Loop of Chicago. Scenes of the city. Look at this water taxi going by. So we got the pink line, Salesforce Tower. We got the water taxi going by here. And then we got the Evening Star. So we'll head down to the Riverwalk. We'll get more views of the boats here. Yeah, the mirrored reflections. You see the clouds reflected there in the buildings. Yeah, look at that. And they use a lot of e-glass now. The glass is very much more reflective now. You know, it's most the newer buildings are this color. Most of the newer buildings are all this mirrored color because it helps with energy efficiency. And the black buildings that Mies van der Rohe built are not energy efficient. They're hard to heat and cool, or they're hard to cool in the summertime because they're black. The windows are black. What was Mies thinking? That was the 60s where they didn't care about energy efficiency as much. So the modernist ideals, you know, weren't very sustainable. They were for some things, but not other things. You know, it's positive, negative, everything. But see, like that building, you almost can like look through it. And this building too. See how it overhangs here. This is cantilever. This is the 150 Riverside. Think how much weight is on this balanced here. People are like, is it going to tip over? Well, I guess it could. Yeah, that's the building. Yeah, the Ferris Bueller's dad worked at this building, the 333 Wacker. Now it's called Nuveen Investment. It used to be called 333 Wacker, that curved building. We'll see it better once we get to that bend. Here we got the light here, so let's head across. Let's get across Lake Street. So this is Lake Street. It's got the CTA elevated trains go across here, and this is a bascule bridge. It lifts. See, the train tracks go all the way west along Lake Street, all the way through the West Loop, all the way to Garfield Park and Austin, and eventually you get to Oak Park. Here's the First Lady heading under the bridge here. There's the Nuveen Investment. Hey, we got guy. There's the fireboat. There's the Fred A. Bussey. So that's a retired fireboat. So I didn't see a fire station, but we saw a fireboat. And the odds are it's going to turn around, so we might see it by the time we get to Michigan Avenue here. So let's go down to the Riverwalk here. There's the bridge house here. What's it like when it's raining? It's wet. If you watch long enough, eventually I'll be live streaming when it's raining. And I got reruns when it's raining. If it rains too hard, I've learned to put up my gimbal because I don't want my gimbal to get damaged. Sometimes I have to throw it into a bag of rice because it gets wet. That happens in the wintertime a lot because we get more gloomy, cloudy days in the winter, fall, spring. But our Labor Day forecast looks pretty pleasant, at least for me. I don't want it to be stinking hot. It's going to be like low 70s and sunny. That's perfect for me. And look at they got the scaffolding there on the, it always cracks me up that people cover their face when I'm not even filming them. Like that gentleman wasn't even in my camera and he was so worried about me filming his face. I didn't film his face, you know, but they don't know. I guess I'm the same way. I got paranoia. You know. We're all paranoid in the age of cameras everywhere. You're on camera somewhere, you walk through the loop. Security cameras everywhere. We all think we're so special, including me. In the whole scheme of things, I'm just a scurvy spider. But hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll check the Riverwalk there. No Labor Day, that's great. Yeah, every day's Labor Day for you, that's great. I'm trying to get there as soon as possible. So here's the Chicago Riverwalk. Here it is, there it is. Here's a map here. We saw some people skateboarding here on Saturday. Started since 2017, D. Michael, that's great. Yeah, maybe they're having an affair. I know people will sue me for filming them in public. It's like the people that got caught at the Coldplay concert. They're like, we deserve privacy. We're in the most public event where, you know, on your ticket it says you will be filmed on the Jumbotron. You know, you lose your right to privacy anytime you go to a big... NFL says the same thing. NFL could put you go to an NFL game, you're on camera the whole time. You know, why do people have this expectation of privacy when they're in public? I don't understand it. I've had people come up to me on the beach. They're like, don't film me. I'm like, okay, I'll film something else, but, you know, it's a public beach here, you know. Look, I point out there'll be people taking pictures of them when they're asking me not to take pictures. I'm like, somebody else is taking a picture right now. You're on me, but you're not on them. Here's this Merchandise Mart. I had a woman stop me in the street and took my picture like she was going to put it in the, you know, predator list. I'm like, good, you could take my picture, you know. I could sue you for libel. If you're so concerned, why didn't you go to the police? You know. Here's the pink line heading across there. To those without sin, cast the first stone. I'm not a perfect person, no what I claim to be. Just try to do the best I can. I try to be polite, respectful. You know, if people don't want to be filmed, I'll film something else. There's something else to film. There it is. There's the new Bean Investment. See that curve thing? It picks up the reflection of the other buildings. Here we are in Chicago Riverwalk. YouTube. Thanks everybody for tuning in. 261 people. That's great. Thanks everybody for watching here on YouTube. Yeah, I'll be doing more live streaming on YouTube in September. The new TikTok terms and conditions kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and we can choose not to use the product. Here's Bright Star. I'll still post reruns. I'll still have a presence, but I don't know if they're going to force everybody to download this 2M2 app. Nobody knows what's going to happen in September. We'll find out, and it probably won't be as bad as I fear, but it probably won't be as good as I hope. Hey, how you doing there? Rush University. Where is I know where the Rush Medical Center is. Does anybody know where the Rush University is? Is there a building downtown? Off the top of my head, I'm ashamed to say I don't know where Rush University is. Do you have an address or something you can look up there on the internet? You know, you stumped the chump. There you go, which is me. Yeah, Robert King, you got the internet there. You could find pretty ladies on the internet. You don't have to watch my channel to do it. I get accused of being a creep enough as it is. I don't need you in the comments putting creepy comments in there so women watching my channel think I'm zooming into people on the beach. It's people like you that are going to get me banned. Thanks for tuning in here. Welcome to Chicago. I know you mean no harm, no foul. You're just joking around, but we try to be respectful of people here. Is that too much to ask? Thanks for tuning in here. We'll watch. Hey, look at the train here. Here's the Brown Line train heading into the loop here. Perfect timing here. Look at this classic view of Chicago, the Marina Towers. Yeah, there people fish in Chicago River. The limits of the planet here. They have the art on the mart. They project artwork up there. They got the projectors. Look at the scaffolding. Would you want to be on that scaffolding on the side of the art on the mart? Remember one time we saw the scaffolding got like sideways on the Salesforce Tower, and CBS News actually called me up and wanted to use the footage for the evening news. I don't know if they did. I sent it to them. I should charge them. I'll be like the Associated Press. Charge him a commission. So there's no freedom of text on YouTube or TikTok. If you think this is freedom of speech, read the terms and conditions. They can ban you at any time for any reason. The platforms themselves ban certain keywords. I'm not doing it. My mods aren't doing it. My mods mainly keep things civil. So if you're just being rude, it's like you go into a restaurant and you're causing a scene, we will ask you to leave. You know, it's just you know, it's too much to ask to be polite. You don't have the right to be rude, you know, because this is not free speech. You have no guaranteed First Amendment rights on any of these platforms. You're paying a telecommunication company anyway to have the internet on your phone. What's free about the speech? You're paying a telecom person for this speech. And YouTube and TikTok are not free speech platforms. Believe me, me as a moderator, I'm constrained by what I can say too. And if you try it sometime, try live streaming. Watch how fast they shut down your channel when you try to exercise your free speech. They just want to sell you stuff. They just want to use TikTok Shop and serve you up advertising. That's it's eyeballs on the screen. They're milking us like cows. I don't think I'm saying anything that's an epiphany to anybody. So it should be obvious to you. This is not free speech. Free speech is you and I talking to each other in real life, you know, or writing something in a letter or text, or they're letting us use this as a service, and they let us use it for free just because they're making money off of us, monetizing our engagement and attention. Yeah, they time us out. They time me out sometimes. It happens, yeah. Maddie Pooh, how you doing? Hey, our Aunt Della's I think she's coming to Chicago, and so I'm going to try to film Bike to Drive there, Matt. They shut down Lakeshore Drive, the vehicular traffic, and they got the bikes. You can ride the bikes from one end of Lakeshore Drive to the other. It's a really pleasant morning. It's really quiet there by the lake. Usually the Sunday between the Sunday over Labor Day. They used to do it over Memorial Day. They're going to do it over Labor Day this weekend. Yeah, lots of people walking there. CJ's mommy, yeah. Thanks for getting people to come over to YouTube here. Attention to stretch. That's good. Thanks to Michael. Great weather. Yeah, we got perfect weather. Perfect weather. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us on YouTube here. We got 262 people. See, this is just as many people as we can get on TikTok. It took us years of people in the lunch bunch and me streaming in landscape and trying to figure out what would have people. But the biggest thing, McCrae helped us out. You gotta click the like button. If you like this content, it's just double tap the screen. It's free. Just click the little like button. The more people that like this video, it's free. It doesn't harm you at all. You won't get charged or anything. And if you're watching, please give me a like there, even if you don't like it. I appreciate it. Hey, there's the water taxi. So this building has a different name. I always call it the Britannica building, but it has a different name. And here we're on the seat wall here. People come out here and have their lunch. This is along Wacker Drive, Chicago River, between Clark Street and LaSalle. Between Clark Street and LaSalle. This is where the Eastland disaster happened. You can look that up. That's the Quaker Oats building. Marina Towers, the Westin. And how you doing? Yeah, it's Little Ben. Here it comes. Here's the Fred A. Bussey. Here's the retired fireboat. So my person that was asking about the fire station, this is the closest thing. This is a retired Chicago fireboat. It used to have the jets or the high pressure hoses. And there's a new, more modern, the Christopher Wheatley, which is a larger fireboat, painted red like this. And we see that patrolling the river sometimes, usually when they're doing fireworks. And there's the Fred A. Bussey going underneath the Clark Street Bridge here, Chicago Riverwalk. Yeah, the old boat. You got it. Nice. Yeah, Chicago Riverwalk. 12:51. This is perfect. So I got 10 minutes to get back to Michigan Avenue. We'll go under Clark Street. We'll head right over to Michigan Avenue, and then I'll head back to work. We got a lone kayaker. We got the lone kayaker there. There's the Fred A. Bussey. It looks nice there. Look at that. Yeah. Niecy's tuning in there. Yeah, Rogue Tone, Menlo Park. Mowing the grass. Yeah, someone thinks so much of me, they want me to drown in the river. Thanks a lot. Can you give me a like? Can you give me a like there for trolling me? Throw me a bone there, you know, for being good humored about it here. So here, we'll head around Tiny Tap. Shows you what people think of me. I'd love to meet you in person. Maybe we could wrestle. Here's Tiny Tap Cafe here, Chicago Riverwalk. So Bussy Woods is out in the suburbs. I haven't been to Bussy Woods in 20 years. We used to go out there for company picnics and stuff. It's kind of on the northwest. Is that right, Bussy Woods? It's up by Palatine. But I don't get out to the suburbs. I don't even get to Evanston or Oak Park. I don't even get to Cicero. I stay in the city because I don't have a car. I know you can take transit out there. I get out there every once in a while for take the metro. But here we'll head, here's Marina Towers here. Going by the Tiny Tap here. How you doing?
Correct. You can press confirm, okay?
Yeah, thumbs up, thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in there. Yeah, Chicago, free money. Yeah, 773, I like that. Yeah, what's that smell? It's the smell of death around you. We'll sing some Leonard Skinner. Ooh, that smell. What's that smell? Legal seafoods. I want illegal seafoods. I don't want legal seafoods. I want illegal seafoods. Get some puffer fish. So they're still working on State Street. That's why that barge is in the middle of the river. You saw Skinner in 75. Wow, that was when they were in their peak. Yeah, before the plane crash. It was so tragic. Half the band died in the plane crash. Yeah. Leonard Skinner. And I know they're controversial for waving that flag. It was different in the 70s. As we know, the Dukes of Hazzard was a major comedy sitcom on a major network, and they would have the Confederate flag on the General Lee there. It shows you it wasn't as I'm sure it was still controversial. It's just people got away with it more then, is what it is. And the meaning has gotten worse as time has gone on. But here's legal seafoods.
Like you get on early Saturday.
Because it never was really the battle flag. The states would have. Well, it was the battle flag. It wasn't the official flag. I'm not getting into. I'm not trying to provide cover for anybody that fly. I personally would never fly that flag or be associated with it in any way. It's too controversial. But freedom of speech, First Amendment. Here's the boats here. Just like burning the flag. Now burning the flag's back in the news, mainly because the current administration has put it back in the news. Burning the American flag. Remember, that was a big thing 30 years ago, and now it's back. The Supreme Court ruled that it's people's constitutional right to burn the American flag, but I know it angers a lot of people, especially veterans. Here's the Chris and I call these the Shriner boats here because they remind us of the little Shriner cars. But here's State Street. There's the Marina Towers here in Chicago, Illinois. Bertrand Goldberg's the architect. And you can rent the boats there. There's the kayaker. Here they're working on underneath of the State Street Bridge. We'll head back past the Vietnam War Memorial here in Chicago. Yeah, it's a southern redneck kind of thing. You got it, yeah. States' rights. What's that? Isn't it amazing that states' rights is now back in the forefront? The Democratic governors are fighting the battle against the federal government, and we're back to separation of power. See, people are fishing. People are fishing right here. It's a good place to fish right here on the Chicago River. And you can ask. We've talked to some of the fishermen, what they catch, what they throw back, and I personally don't have the patience to fish here on this river. They're going to do a swim. Did I miss the swim? They're going to do a swim here in the river. We'll see if they actually do it here. But hey, look, there's the Wrigley building. Here's a pleasure craft here. Look at these people. So people are fully clothed here because it's cooler today. It's 72 degrees. And there's the Trump Tower, the old IBM building. Here's the Vietnam War Memorial here by the Chicago Brew House. Chicago Riverwalk here. We'll head back up to Wacker Drive here so I can get back to work. Ronnie Van Zant. Yeah, there you go. Ronnie Van Zant, that's great. Yeah, thanks Taco, thanks for the plug there. So yeah, you can watch me tonight on TikTok. This is the last week I'll be streaming on TikTok, so I'm letting everybody, my subscribers on TikTok, adequate time to know that I'm going to be streaming on YouTube full-time, morning, noon, and night, starting in September. And that's when TikTok's going to roll out their new terms and conditions. And eventually there'll be this M2 thing. I have no idea what that's going to be like. And then, but I'm still going to maintain a presence on TikTok. I would just use it mainly as a backup and for reruns. Every great once in a while I might live stream it from it if there's a purpose for it. I'm going to be very hesitant to, because the terms and conditions make me very scared to live stream on it. The new terms and conditions says you're liable for anything that happens during your live. So if somebody runs up and yells a racial obscenity into my camera, I'm liable for broadcasting it to the world. I don't want that responsibility. I purposely very deliberate in trying to choose my words. My biggest problem is not losing my temper when I get frustrated with the comments. But here's the Jewelers building. But we'll keep it going here on YouTube. But hey, there's the Wrigley and the Tribune there. Nice buildings here. We're crossing Wacker Drive here, 35 East Wacker, the Jewelers building. They blew this up in Transformers. Here's where we came from. And there's this, look at this clock. Look at this clock there. Look how nice that is. So here we'll cross Wabash here. And then we'll head back down towards Lake Street. We'll go back to Michigan Avenue here. So 17th Church of Christ Scientists. This is, here we got the light here. So I want to film this way here. Here's Wabash looking south here. You got the bend of the track there. And if we look north, we get the full height of the Trump Tower, the second tallest building in Chicago, 1,200 feet tall with that spire. And let's head down this way. We might catch a train. Here's the Emerald Loop in Chicago, Irish Bar. This is in the Jewelers building. There used to be water towers on the side there, gravity fed, fire suppressive systems, the early 1925 Korean American steakhouse. It smells great there. Yeah, we'll go by the Virgin hotels here, the people putting in the luggage here. They got the Lips couch. There's usually somebody sitting on the Harold Washington College here. Yeah, I don't know where the Rush College is. I know where the Rush Medical Center is, down there at the hospital campus there, along the Eisenhower. But it's Chicago, Harold Washington College, Wabash, and Lake Street. Corner of the loop. This is the northeast corner of the loop. Good food there, it's good. Yeah, Toronto, that's not funny. I'm sure you're cracking yourself up there. You're the funniest person in the world there. To me, that's a lame joke. That's just my opinion. Here's Lake Street and Wabash. So here, let's head back to Michigan. I'm about to sign off anyway. So hey, thanks everybody. Thanks mods. Thanks everybody for watching our little tour through the loop here. Thanks everybody letting us know where you were tuning in from all over the world. That's great. Toronto's a beautiful city. See, I said something positive about Toronto. I didn't bash. You know, I understand if you want to bash America. America's drawing deservedly hate. You know, people are thinking about America differently because of the actions of our current administration, which bother me too. And I have to live here, and they're sending National Guard to Chicago just to make a cheap political point. But we're used to that. It's par for the course. Oh, as long as the stock market's up, no one's going to care. As long as your 401k safe, no one's going to care. They're going to tolerate whatever the wannabe dictator is going to do. As long as you're making money and you're employed, people will be okay with, you know, unless you don't get thrown in the back of a van by mass people that don't identify themselves. You're like, I'm an American. They're like, we don't care, you know. And I do show my face, so I'm not ICE. And that's why a lot of people say that. I understand that. People, I'm filming here. People are worried that I'm like some surveillance for the administrative state. Here's the Prudential Tower, Michigan Avenue. Wait for the light here. Hey, let's check out the begonias here while we're waiting across the street here. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I mean, that's not even funny. Like, what? It's not even a good joke. You know, why would somebody, you know, and the maturity level, it could have been, we don't even know the age range of these people. You know, it could be anybody. It could be a Russian bot for all we know, you know. So thanks, Chris. We got good mods, you know. That's why we're concerned about free speech like everybody else. We just don't like rude speech, you know. And here, look at the Wrigley building. Because we're a bunch of nice people. And nice people get no respect. Certainly they can't become president. You can't be nice to be president. You got to be a mean jerk that's angry all the time. But here's Nando's Nutella. Look at this. Yeah, here's Moo Joe's super premium ice cream. Come here, get your Moo Joe's. And there's the Hazel Johnson, Mr. Super A mural to environmental justice. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you on TikTok at 5. Thanks, mods, and everybody else. Carbon and Carbide. Enjoy this beautiful weather. We'll see you later. You can watch the full rerun on YouTube. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.